Okay, it's 4 o'clock. I'd like to call the committee of the whole meeting to order. Christian, could you do the board roll call?
First, Supervisor Wilson here. Trustee Bowman here. Trustee Ziegler here. Assessor Barrington here. Okay. Absent at the moment are Trustee Sands and Trustee Block.
Thank you. We have a quorum. Everybody can stand and do the pledge.
Republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. We're going to start our meeting with public comment. We have received a large number of letters receiving in honor of in support of the Peace Poll. So in order to save time, we have them posted to our website, and there's also a QR code if you want to scan it by the door there to read them. They're public for public knowledge. They're at elatownship.gov. Peace Poll letters of support. Public is always welcome to speak at our public meetings. The board is here to listen to the public. Just so you know, it is not a public conversation. We're here to listen and hear what you have to say. Please keep comments to 3 minutes or less. And how we run our meetings is we go according to people who signed in. And we'll be the first ones asked if they'd like to speak. So the first one on the list is Sherry Gallo.
Hi, I'm Sherry Gallo. I've lived in Lake Zurich since 1981. Pamela Self and I are co-founders of the Gila Peace Project. Kathy McCauley, Alicia Tin, and Marcia Marshall have been so integral to the Peace Project that I consider them co-founders as well. I'd like to remind everyone that we are all going to die. The fact makes me think about legacy. I'm ashamed of several of my ancestors. One is Samuel Shattuck. His accusations resulted in the death of 2 women who were hanged after being found guilty of witchcraft during the Salem witch trials in 1692. Although Samuel may have done many good things during his life, he has gone down in history simply as Salem witch trial accuser. He will forever be a dark stain on my family's history. Samuel blamed 2 innocent women for causing his son's seizures. He chose retaliation, gossip, disinformation, propaganda, fear-mongering, fear, and hate to achieve his goal. There are people in this town who are doing the same to those of us associated with the Gila Peace Project. Our purpose is to promote peace and embrace our entire community. There are those who will tell you differently, but let them check the receipts, follow in our footsteps, look at what we have done. Our actions speak much louder than their words ever will. We held a peace vigil when Russia invaded Ukraine. Collaborated with an Eagle Scout candidate to install a native plant garden. Created the College Peace Poll in Illinois. Held a protest and vigil were made good by ICE agents. Sent over 1,000 Oregon people to organizations and schools in Minnesota, as well as countries in Illinois. And let it be noted that both Republicans and Democrats attended our recent protests and voted Oregon Peace Gov. We are proud of our accomplishments. Many times in my life I have had moments that I didn't realize were seminal moments until much later. My decisions in those moments changed the trajectory of my life. Members of the Gila Township Board, each of you will have a decision to make regarding whether to retain or remove the Peace Poll. I believe this is a seminal moment in each of your lives. Will your family, your children, your grandchildren celebrate your vote, or will they be ashamed? Hundreds of years from now, will voted to remove a Peace Poll be the only record of your life that will be remembered? Will those words be included in your obituary? More importantly, how will this vote affect the condition of your soul? not only is this possibly a seminal moment in our lives.
Get 3 minutes.
Am I done?
Yes.
Oh, to wrap it up. Okay. But it is one that will have ramifications on the history and future of our community. How will Ely Township be perceived if this voting body decides to remove the symbol of peace? Removing a peace pole is an act of violence. The world is watching. Thank you. Ellen Sharp.
Hi, I've been a resident of Gila Township since 1992. A state of tranquility, security, or harmony characterized by the absence of war, conflict, or disorder. That is the definition of peace. Compared to the world, Gila Township is a small number of people, but we can stand large by striving for peace in our own community, despite our differences. Let's show our children and our grandchildren that we can stand together for peace, not against it.
And I'm speaking as just myself. I'm not speaking for any group of people, just as a resident. And I will find myself. Make sure I have 3 minutes. Tell me when. Yep. I'm going to go now. So I've lived in Lake Zurich for 35 years, the first one being 1981 when the town was full of farm fields and we didn't even have a Target. This town has changed immensely, from a small working-class community with an IGA to an upper-class community with top schools and so many Starbucks that I can no longer count how many we have. One thing that has stayed the same, though, is the denial by many that racism, sexism, homophobia, classism, and other inequalities continue to be very real in our beautiful community. We must acknowledge these issues in order to achieve peace for all of our residents. As a student of Lake Zurich in the 1990s, I remember one of the few black students in our school talking about how her family was moving out because the racism that her family constantly endured was too much. I remember how a child who was gay at the high school was incessantly bullied until he left the high school. I was never sure if he dropped out because he had transferred, but I was pretty sure it had something to do with his identity. I also had a white neighbor that made a petition back in the 1990s, urging his white neighbors to sign in order to tell the new black family who moved in that they weren't welcome in the community. Again, this was the 90s in Lake Zurich. When few people signed it, the family of color still moved in. I remember that family's little boys being harassed by the petition creator incessantly while they were just trying to play and be little kids. If we want to go back in history even further, we can talk about how the KKK met on August 16th of 1921 just south of Lake Zurich to gather in the name of racism. Or if we could go back even further, and we could talk about how Seth Payne, the founder of the village of Lake Zurich, was also a member of the Underground Railroad and fought hard to abolish slavery. The thing is, history repeats itself. It is a misconception that we just progress and society becomes more equal. There have always been struggles, and there has always been racism, sexism, homophobia. Even in 2026, we're no different. These atrocities just change forms, perhaps becoming more covert, or even more overt, while the unwavering voice of leaders who argue that inequality is acceptable, and when they use euphemisms to hide behind their hatred. For example, the death of a woman who is a lesbian is instead called, quote, being patriotic, or law-abiding. The death of an immigrant is called removing a criminal. When we refuse to see the humanity in our fellow humans, there is a desperate need for peace. So that's why I'm here today. When I see the peace pole in downtown Lake Zurich, I see the black children who should have been able to peacefully ride their bikes in Lake Zurich in the 90s. I see the gay child who should have been able to learn in a school where he felt safe. I see all of my neighbors who should be able to live in a community where their children should be able to live up to their fullest potential, thrive, be safe, and grow. And I think of the man who orchestrated the KKK meeting near Lake Zurich in the 1920s, and I also think of the abolitionist Seth Payne. I wonder what they would think if they were watching this meeting today. Would they think that we have come a long way from slavery and sundown towns, or would they think our hatred has only changed forms? Who would be more proud of us, KKK leaders or abolitionists? That is what I hope you all think about, too, as you speak in favor or against the sign of peace in this beautiful little town that has such a heated past and unfortunately still has remnants of that past today in 2026. Thank you.
Alicia Sims and Kathy McCauley is after that.
Hi, I'm Alicia Sim. I was lucky to be included in Sherry and Pamela Self's brainchild for peace. The story is pretty remarkable, and the first time I met Sherry, we had coffee, and she was trying to find a place for this peace bowl, which had a very different origination as an idea, which we had to dilute to make it palatable to people, actually. But it was in honor of Emmett Till, who was wrongly murdered by people for an act that he never committed at the age of 12. So that is where the origination of the peace bowl came from. I had a couple quotes about actions and words, and I just think that's really important for us to remember who is here to speak and act, and who is not here and is not speaking, but feels free to do that hidden behind a computer screen. So there's a quote from Rashida Costa. She's a Jamaican-born playwright and actress, and she says, "Words are from the lips, actions are from the heart." There is nothing that the Gila Peace Project has done in our time of activism that has not been from the heart. That is where we operate from. That is our best intention. It is from the heart. And other people in this community are also free to act from their heart and to do what they believe and to talk in public amongst their community members to share their opinions and feelings. Did they make a peace bowl? No. Did they spend 3 years trying to get it put into place, at a place that would accept it? No. Did they spend 3 years trying to raise money for this peace bowl? No. They are just complaining and being upset about things that actually don't matter. It's not hurting anybody. People gathered in peace to sit vigil for a woman who is wrongly murdered. That is what happened. And we're sorry. If you have someone in your life that you've lost that you need to sit in vigil for, you are absolutely free to do that. So I just think it's important that actions match your words. Ray Bradbury, a Waukegan, Illinois native and prolific author of Fahrenheit 451, you may have heard of it, very big book about censorship. He said, "Don't tell me what you believe in. Show me what you do, and I will believe in you." So if people want people to follow them or believe in them or have faith in them and have good feelings about them, then those people need to act. And we are acting out of our heart, out of what we've envisioned for the world. We want peace. We want togetherness. We want acceptance of a diverse community that is ever-changing. And we will not stop the work that we are doing, because it comes from the heart, and that would be like basically asking the person to lay over and just die. And that's not what we're doing. We are here to live and to live the best lives we can. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay? I'm Kathy McCauley. I'm a local resident here in Lake Zurich. I also come just as a resident. I usually have lots of notes in front of me, and I come very prepared. But today, it's not about me. Today, it's about standing up for the rights of people to have a voice. And as I looked on the agenda, I noticed discussion about peace bowl. And, you know, I had a call today from a friend here in Lake Zurich who is afraid to leave her home. She is an immigrant, and her husband was recently deported, and she's afraid to leave her home. She lives here in our community. And, you know, I thought, wouldn't it be such a turn of events if on that agenda it said discussion about people who feel unsafe in Lake Zurich? versus discussion of peaceful? Because why are we discussing taking out or removing a peace pole? What's the point of discussing the removal of a peace pole, a symbol of peace, when there are people in the world who are dealing with so much difficulty, when there are other important things in the world that we could be spending our time and our attention and our money and our effort on than discussing the removal of a peace pole? Does that make sense? To me, it does not. So I think about my friend today who needs help, who is struggling here in our community, and I think about a conversation regarding removing a peace pole. And it just doesn't really make too much sense to me. That peace pole stands for it's a symbol of peace and justice. It represents 60 languages of people who speak, the languages that people speak here in our community. And I wonder what we're doing here, talking about the removal, perhaps talking about the removal of the peace pole. I'm not really sure what discussion means, but that's the word on the street. So thank you for letting me share.
Amen, sisters. What they said. All y'all. Okay, I'd like to ask first, have y'all read the letters? The multiple letters that have been written? I hope so. I hope all of you have read them, because they're to you who are going to be voting on the removal of a peace pole. So please make sure you read every word. Okay, I'm going to bring it down to personal stuff, a little closer to home. My first visit to the peace pole was on a cold day. This last winter. It was my first time there. I'm not from this township. I'm from Wakanda Township. But I was driving through. There it was. I stopped. And I cried tears. On this peace pole is the word peace in Lithuanian. That was my father's language. He was a refugee. He and his family, they took what they could carry in the middle of the night and spent 2 years after leaving Lithuania in a German DP camp, refugee camp before arriving here. Also, discovering that the peace pole here in Lake Zurich had been dedicated on September 21st, 2023. That was the 1 year anniversary of the day that my only sibling, my younger brother, shot himself. So it was really something to stumble upon this peace pole and be filled with different feelings than I had for a while with my heavy heart. Considering its removal is ludicrous. It's a thing. It's nice. It's a nice thing, a beautiful thing that says peace in languages, even sign language. It reminds human beings to be at peace, whatever they're going through, and whatever that means to different individuals. Maybe it means the absence of war. Maybe it means coming to a new country. Maybe it means belonging and mattering, trust, life and death for some people. Or it could just remind you as you drive by on the way to a job interview or a funeral or something to calm your nervous system and be at peace. Or as it did with me on a really cold, gray winter day, it reminded me to come on out of my own head and back to this big, beautiful world where individuals and families have weathered suicides of loved ones since the beginning of time and have somehow managed to move forward in peace anyway. A reminder I sorely needed. All humans, even Larry Bowman, at some times in life need reminders to find peace. They need help. Let the thing you have in Lake Zurich be that reminder for whoever needs it whenever they need it. Peace and world languages are not controversial, furthermore. Peace is objectively good, like health. And languages, well, humans speak them. Your grandparents did too. Please knock this ridiculousness off. Thank you.
because I've been a resident since 1995. I'm not sure about anybody else here, but I kind of think I would have really loved to have seen a peace pole in presence in this community. It was a big choice for us when we moved from the Boston area to here, and I look at it from the stance of lots of ideas, lots of diversity in the world. Yeah, I look at my father. He was a vet. Yeah, so I look at the stance that they went through a world war. The peace pole came out of Japan. That's where it had its earliest beginnings. And the bottom line is that peace pole started largely in response to Nagasaki and Hiroshima. And it's grown immensely since then. Thousands and thousands of communities across the world have. And I think I would have admired having it here. And I'm actually worried that it's lost. It's going to have an impact on the community. I can see my prices in my house going down as a result of this. I think it's silly, because who's going to kick out a peace pole? It is crazy. So, thank you all.
Hello, I'm Nancy Iverson. My husband and I have lived in Zurich for 50 years. We love the community. We raise 4 daughters here. One of our daughters is raising a family here as well. I've always considered it a family-centered community that I'm very proud of. When I first saw the peace pole, I thought, what a wonderful thing, what a beautiful thing. Representing our community. It's the word peace. It's something I think we all need. We try to strive for. It's hard in this world, but it's a reminder that that's something that we all need. And that crosses all of my situation, no matter what it might be. We all need that. And when you see all the different languages on there, it reminds me that's something we all need. And it just is a beautiful message. What a beautiful message for our children that they see this. Why are all these languages there? You know, it's a good message, and it's a beautiful thing. And to take it down would be so very wrong. And I can't understand why anyone would think that the word peace could be something offensive when it's something we all need, that we totally need. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ray Syverson. I've been a resident along with my wife Ann there for over 50 years. So besides being a resident, I volunteer at the Ela Historical Society, and I've been heading it for the last 8 years. In that capacity, I was made aware of the plans for a peace pole by Sherry Gulo when she first started the project. We at the Historical Society were kept up to date as it moved forward, and we're really pleased to see the peace pole finally turn out so nice. My understanding is that the money for the pole was all raised by donations through GoFundMe and checks sent in, and that none of it came from taxpayers. My wife and I were among those who donated. I understand that all the money that was donated went through Ela Township first and then towards the Peace Pole project. All the payouts can be accounted for. It was meant to be a gift to Lake Zurich, Ela Township, and for everyone. I understand that Sherry and her group worked with the township through the entire process and were truthful and transparent from the beginning to the end. Their goal was to keep the peace pole erected in the park, and that was the only payment they hoped for. The pole has been a wonderful addition to Ela Park. A lot of work went into getting it put up there. It looks beautiful, and it's not hurting anything or anyone. Its message is peace. I can't understand why anybody would want to go to the trouble of taking it down, and so I think it should stay put. Thanks for listening. I'm Kurt Moore, 44-year resident of Eagle Township. Part of Eagle Township is not like Zurich. It's in the northeast corner of Barrington, and that's where I live. I'm a veteran of the U.S. Air Force. With the world and the United States so confused in where they're going right now, not keeping the peace whole makes absolutely no sense. And if you are concerned about where your kids are being raised, your real estate values, and I come from Barrington to Lake Zurich to shop several times a week, and so does my wife. You have to vote against this. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tasi Ufadike, and I live in Hawthorne Woods. And I'm coming to you as just a resident, a mom, and a small business owner. So I was actually on the board with Supervisor Palmlett at the time, and Trustee Wilhoit, and all of us. Now she's Supervisor Wilhoit. And we actually worked with Sherry on this peace poll. And we supported it, and the mission was very, very clear. We just wanted to have a symbol of peace in our community. I voted for it. I was proud to vote for it. I don't mince words. I think it was a great addition. We supported it. I have a special connection to ELA Peace Poll. Like I said, I remain a strong supporter of it, having lived in different cultures, and I know how meaningful it is to be recognized. As you know, my last name is Ufadike. My father is Nigerian, my mother is American. Sherry and I worked, and if you see on the peace poll where my daughter took the picture, it has the word Udo, which means peace in Igbo, which is a part of Nigerian culture. We all are together. I'm so sick of all the divisiveness that's going on in our community. We have a beautiful community. When we worked, and we had several meetings, Supervisor Wilhoit can tell you, and all the people that were on the board, including Trustee Bowman, and we all agreed this was a good thing. We put a vote to it. So when I heard, and I got calls from residents, and they said, Tasi, have you seen what's going on? And I said, I'm confused about why we want to remove the peace poll. And like I told Sherry, I will be here. I stand by my word. I'm supportive of the peace poll. I voted for it. I supported it. And two things I want to end with. This project was 100% grassroots. Okay, it was funded entirely by private donations, and we have to choose unity over politics. The peace poll was never meant to be a political statement. It was meant to be a beacon of harmony. And it says, I wear my cross proudly, and that's my right, but it says, you know, how good and pleasant is it when God's people can live together in unity. Let's keep the peace poll. I love that we live in the greatest country in the world and everybody has a vote. And let's vote to keep the peace poll in Lake Zurich and continue to shine a light on everybody in our community. Thank you.
Here that would like to speak that it's just the people who signed up. Sure.
My name is Kathy Potter. I am a resident of Deer Park for almost 25 years, and I, as doing a little research on why this issue is coming up and why there is a vote and people are speaking out, one of the things that I noticed was that there was, it was commenting on the 60 languages. So I am going to specifically address that. I want to say, first of all, over 95% of Gila Township residents are citizens. So it is, those citizens come from very different backgrounds, but they're here, they're paying taxes, they're paying real estate taxes, they're improving our community, they're shopping in our stores, they are teaching our children, they're doing public works, they're in government. So coming from a different background should be an inclusive message from the community to make those people want to be here and feel welcome. There is also, Lake Zurich has a sister city in Germany. So Lake Zurich, as many, many other cities across the country, have said, we recognize we have our own culture and our own style, but we think it is important that we reach across to a city in Germany, and there's ties to a city in Switzerland, I believe, as well, and one in Scotland, too. And at one point, the leaders of Lake Zurich said, this is important that we reach out, that we have a community with others who are different from us, but carry the same values. And, part of those values are community and the beauty of your community. And the Peace Pole, if nothing else, a piece of artwork. You don't have to like it. Art is how you feel, and it's making people feel good. So that's an improvement for the community. And someone else had mentioned that the Peace Pole idea had started in Japan, which it did, and it was after World War II, and they were feeling the desire for unity in the world, and had been, really devastated, the many, many, many innocent people. And what they wanted to do was create something that would tell the world, we want peace, we want to reach out. So the idea started there, and, there are hundreds all over the country. Another point that I want to make is that, as far as language goes, there is no developed country in the world that has one singular language that every resident speaks. That is not the world that we live in. And then finally, I wanted to note that, we are residents of Illinois. This is Native American land. Less than 0.5% of the current residents of Gila Township are Native American. So we all came from somewhere. And, I think we need to recognize grandparents, great-grandparents, even people in this room, coming from different places, born in different countries. That makes our community stronger, and it makes us happier, and it makes us more profitable, maybe even live a better life. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Kniznik. I am not a resident of Lake Zurich or of Gila Township. I live in Vernon Hills, but I am the county board member for District 18, which does include Gila Township. And I'm so proud to be here tonight, and I expected to feel a little emotional tonight, but I didn't expect to feel such positive emotions, to be honest. I'm reflecting on the comments that Ms. Ufadike shared, and I really want to thank her for highlighting the grassroots nature of this project from beginning to end. From the time the idea was even raised by Ms. Gullo, all the way up until tonight. I think we're seeing an extraordinary outpouring of grassroots support, and I can confirm that I've heard from several members who are of my constituency who are not here tonight that they strongly support the Peace Pole, and it is my honor to speak for them since they could not be here with us tonight. And although I'm not a resident of Gila Township, I really urge each and every one of you to vote in favor of keeping the Peace Pole. I think I would ask you to reflect on the message that it would send not just to the people in this room, but to all the members of our community, and particularly those members of our community who are serving in the armed forces. Please remember, we are right now, as we speak, a nation at war. And please think about the message you would be sending to anybody with a loved one serving in the theater of war today, or to someone who is from Lake Zurich and serving in the Middle East right now. Think about the message you would be sending to them if you remove this peace pole. I, for one, would like to send a message to them that everyone in their community is hoping for a swift end to this war, for peace, and that we are backing that up with our support for the peace pole. And finally, I just want to say, when Ms. Gullo introduced me to the peace pole about 2 years ago, she took me on a beautiful visit, told me the entire history of the project, how it was so focused at the grassroots, but also how so many people from different positions on the political spectrum came together in support of this project. And the whole thing just is incredibly inspiring, and I just think everything about the peace pole reflects everything that is best about us. And by us, I mean the residents of Lake County, of Lake Zurich, of Eloy Township, but also the best of us as Americans. So thank you for the opportunity to share my thoughts, and I urge you to please vote in favor of keeping the peace pole in Eloy Township. Thank you.
Thanks for giving me some time. My name is Shanna Smith. My husband and I have lived in Lake Zurich for 11 years. We're raising our 3 boys. And the first thing that I did when I heard that there was potentially interest in removing the peace pole in our town is I talked to my kids about it. And they couldn't believe it. And I think that's the biggest thing. For me, Sherry was talking about our legacy. And can't but help think of our kids, right? What message does it send our kids if we remove the pole that stands for peace? And I know there's widespread community support for peace poles. There's 4 or 5 schools in our community that have also put up peace poles since this one was installed. They've had ceremonies at their schools celebrating the different cultures that exist. It's amazing that we have 60 languages spoken in our community, maybe more now since the peace pole was installed. I don't know. Even on our street, my kids play with the kids that speak 5 or 6 of these different languages. It's just on our one street in Lake Zurich. It's incredible. And what message does it send to my neighbors, to my next door neighbor, if we remove a peace pole that has their own language on it? It makes them feel seen, like we've heard from others. Like you can walk downtown and see your language on a peace pole. You feel seen. And that is one of our core human needs, right? To feel seen, to feel like we belong. So please think about the message that it would send if we removed the peace pole from our town. There are many families who still want to move to Lake Zurich. Like we've heard, the real estate market is so good, and it's because we're a strong family-centered town. And I think removing the peace pole would change that. I think it would change how people view our city. So finally, my kids both, 2 of my kids both shared a sentence that they wanted me to read to. The first is from my son Rowan, who's 11. He said, "I think we need to keep the peace pole because it shows our town has a variety of people who live here, and it welcomes people to live here." And then my 8-year-old, "Peace is good. Why would you want to take down the peace pole?"
Good afternoon. I'm Maria Peterson. I'm from North Barrington. And I had the honor to be with Sherry and Alicia and a number of people in September of 2023 when the pole was inaugurated. And this is a picture of the word peace in American Sign Language. And I did take the picture of paz, which is in Spanish. And there's also one in Braille. And I bring these up because my middle son is deaf. And I sent this to him because he lives in Minnesota, and I sent this to him because it was like acknowledging not just spoken languages, but also languages and disabilities, sign language and Braille. And to discount the peace pole as something disturbing in and of itself is disturbing, because languages spoken, signed, touched, cross the borders. Cross the borders. It doesn't. Languages don't mean that you're black or white or brown or yellow or male or female or cross-gender. Languages are necessary. And then to see it on a peace pole that is now on a Lake County tour is like so critical. And it's a thing that it's not only just a reminder of people gave up their lives for peace. If you go to the hallowed grounds of Gettysburg, or if you go to Hiroshima, you could feel the souls underneath your feet. And that peace pole is what represents why people died. And so I ask you to keep the peace pole. And plus, let's not deny it. It brings people to Lake Zurich, and it brings you tax dollars.
I feel compelled. My name is Gloria Pomba, and I am the former supervisor of Ela Township. And I was the number one person that they came to when Sherry Della wanted to bring this project to the Ela Township. And before, I probably should have spoken a lot sooner, but I really wasn't prepared. But I really feel that maybe some explanation is needed as to why this has come to light. And I will take some blame in it, and it's obviously because it came under my watch, under my domain. But at the time, we had a whole different board than we have now, or we had when I left. And at that time, like I said, I think we had 3 new different members other than Trustee Bowman on the board. And at that time, we all thought it was a great idea. And we took a lot of meetings, a lot of discussion, a lot of planning that half of you don't have a clue as to what we put into this. And anyway, some things have come to light recently that since I left, that said that some things weren't handled properly. So I'm bringing that up so everybody knows that that's what happened. But upon investigation, it was proven that there was no ill intent done on my behalf whatsoever. Every dollar we raised was spent on the peace pole, and there was no money used elsewhere. The only thing that we did agree way back when was that if there was some work that the highway department could do to help this project move along, they would do it, because after all, it is Ela Park and it is Ela Township property. And we wanted to beautify it and keep it well maintained. So that's why the Ela department, highway department was involved in helping with the concrete and a couple of things with sodding and whatever else had to be done to beautify the area. So anyway, I take fault for maybe not handling something properly, but at the end of the day, it is a peace pole. It is beautiful. It is a great attraction to our park. It's especially beautiful at night. But anyway, I just want to say that this is what's happening, and please don't get totally mad at Gary Bowman for this. So anyway, I take blame. Thank you.
I'm Marcy Berger. I moved to Lake Zurich from Buffalo Grove in 2008. I thought I made a great decision, but when I moved in, there was a sign in front of one of the many churches on Quentin that showed an army of religious zealots. And I went home and cried. I thought I made a mistake. But I had closed and it was all done and I was just going to take a wait and see. It turned out that I made a great decision. That church disappeared. It changed its character shortly after that. And I thought, oh, wow, okay, that's good. And I thought about, I left a very safe community, and I really didn't know anyone in Lake Zurich. Or I actually live in Torres Lake. But I was willing to give it a try. The peace poll only came to my awareness during the recent vigil this winter. But people who are coming to our community, they don't know what this community is made of. They don't know about the, political views necessarily of their neighbors, and it takes time to get acquainted. When I heard that there was a problem with the peace poll, I couldn't imagine. Most of us went to high school and had to take a foreign language. That's a good thing to learn foreign language. It's a good thing to learn about other cultures. My daughter-in-law is a descendant of her grandparents were interred in a Japanese internment camp during World War II. There are lots of reasons why we want to have a symbol of peace and community and not homogeneous society, because we learn from our neighbors that are different from us, and we should appreciate that and try and preserve it. Thank you.
Public comment. Just so you know, there is not going to be any vote today. It's just to be discussed. There's no voting happening today. Because we have such a great audience here, we're going to move number 5 down with discussion with Paul Virgilio to afternoon business, so everyone is here. And move on to number 6, new business A, discussion of the peace poll led by Trustee Larry Bowman. So please keep your presentation to 5 minutes on your thoughts, and then we'll go around and ask the board and staff there. Wherever you're comfortable.
Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. I'd like to say that I read every one of those letters that were submitted in the book. Can everybody hear me? I read every one of those letters, and I appreciate everyone's comments that got up here tonight, and I thought they were wonderful. I believe in every one of those comments. Every one of them. I'm not against the peace poll. The issues came up because of legality. Monies were raised with this under the intent, and a lot of people believe that it was a non-for-profit. People donated to this fund, and I don't know if they wrote that off on their taxes as a contribution. The people that I don't know that. I can't answer that question, but it's been brought up in the state of Illinois as a possible issue. I'm not making this up. This is the facts. And the people that raised the money, there's a question, were taxes paid on that money as income? And then the money was brought to the township and put in as a non-for-profit. My only concern with the peace poll is long-term legality and any issues for the township. Now, a solution to this would be, very simply, is the organization that put this together originally go back and establish a non-for-profit organization, take over the obligations of the Peace Pole, and it stays where it is. My only concern is, I'm not interested in removing this, not interested in tearing it down. I'm interested in protecting the township and the community within the township from possible litigation or legal issues long term. Could there be? Maybe. I don't know. I'm just saying this is a concern, and it's been brought all the way up to the Attorney General of the state of Illinois. So that's my only concerns. And I think an easy solution to this is that a 501 or a not-for-profit organization is put together and take over the Peace Pole.
So what is your question you're asking the board to do? What are you asking the board to do?
I think that's the best way to do it is to have that group that did the fundraising, to protect themselves too. I mean, I don't know if they pay taxes on that money or if there's any possible questions in reference to that. If they make establish a not-for-profit, it resolves everything. I don't have any issues with it. I agree with everybody's comments today. I'm not against the Peace Pole.
Well, we're going to go around. Susan, do you have any comments?
No, I was just wondering if there was a way, whatever, with the 501c3 that we're working on, if that can develop that, but that wouldn't be what started.
No. Kelly, any comments?
I think I would just note that, I did a pretty thorough review of the public meeting minutes dating back to 3 years when this first came up in any of our documents. Nothing indicated that this was a nonprofit. None of the meeting minutes referenced that that's how it was done. And it's clear that the idea and the funding originated by members of our community. And that prior board member approved and accepting the gift and placing the gift. I want to be clear, I in no way am suggesting that community members who supported this project or were involved in it were acted wrongly or that the funds weren't managed appropriately. I think we all agree, and we've seen documentation that the prior administration's financial actions in working with the committee maybe were not done appropriately, and they were done without the board's knowledge or approval with the bank account being opened in the township EIN. But we did not communicate that this was nonprofit by any stretch. I appreciate everyone's comments about the Peace Pole and the community's engagement. I recognize that it's controversial for some, not just because of financial, but for other reasons. I think that is not necessarily inconsistent with the ideals of peace. I think you're going to have conflict and differences. Those are always going to be present. I support the Peace Pole, what it represents, which is an art installation that's intended to promote and support universal human ideals, and I think to consider removing it sends the wrong message, and I don't know that I think that there's a legal the risk for us legally is significant, and I don't think that doing anything about this addresses it.
Trustee Black?
Thank you. From what I've read, the Illinois Attorney General has already declined to prosecute over any of the funding things that happened. So I think that our township doesn't have much legal liability with the Peace Pole. I see no purpose to privatizing it, and I think that it's a great public asset. People take joy from it, and it helps inspire the community. I was there at the Renee Good protest and visual, and I saw how it served as like a nice symbol to help bring people together and find solidarity with each other. And I think that we should be fully supporting it.
Professor Barrington? Was there a letter from the Attorney General that was addressed to the township in regards to people? In regards to our financial findings? Yes. Okay. Again, as a non-voting member
member of the board. I would just say, as a veteran, as the wife of a veteran who died from wounds of war, as a mom of 2 veterans, and as a mom of 3 young daughters, I fully support what that peaceful message is in our community, and I think it only brings good, nothing bad. I would hate to see something that's been paid for, that township funds and the services of the highway department are already used to erect it. It's there. Why would we take something like that down? It just seems very counterproductive to the state of our community right now and our world. Thank you. Mariana, Stephen. Director Mark.
I agree with a lot of the people who have been talking, and I think it is a good symbol. I also think taking it down would send a weird message.
I agree with everybody here. The way the world is now, we could all use a little bit more peace now.
I agree as well. I don't think removing it would be good for our community.
And just lastly, I personally, as a person, donated to the cause. I worked for Sherry Bello. I was on the board I was there at the opening. I think it's a great monument. I looked back at the GoFundMe and nowhere did it say that they were a 501c3 when I made my donation. If me or other people who donated claimed it on their taxes, it's our fault for not reading closely because it didn't say that. It didn't say that on any of their things that there were taxes. I think it's a great for the community. I appreciate your concerns and I appreciate you looking out for it, but I feel that there's not enough support to go forward and ask for any type of vote or anything for the future that it remains. So thank you everyone for your support. We're going to go on with our meeting. If you'd like to stay, we'd love to have you. But the electrical upgrades at Knox Park. Administrator Marcinia.
Yes, so I'll start. The electrical upgrades at Knox Park relate to the dental clinic that was approved at the last board meeting. I will let Sarah, Director Marks, go into this and share some exciting news.
So we ended up finding out that the electrical that we have to sustain it isn't up to what they need. So we reached out to a few electricians, and we only got 2 back so far. We are waiting on another one for Monday, who has done some work for other organizations in the community and has been able to lower the cost of it. When we first asked for money for the clinic, I asked for $20,000. We ended up only needing $15,000 for the actual mobile clinic, so we have about 5 left. The first quote that came in, I will be very honest, was $11,000. It was over 11. It was a lot higher than I anticipated. We got another one. It was around 8. So my team and I have been working diligently to find how we're going to pay for that, since we only had that kind of 5 to play with a little bit. I am excited to hear that I've gotten a lot of positive feedback. The first was from Darby Hill's office, who said that she is going to put it in for funding for in her budget for us. None of this is set in stone. This is all just, they are working on it. I also heard from Nabia Saeed today, and she is also going to request it in her budget as well. She's going to put in $15,000 for capital improvements for the mobile clinic. And then I also got invited to a meeting through someone who I reached out to the governor as well. And she is from the Department of Commerce. And I got invited to a meeting tomorrow to see if we can also make that work. So I have lots of different levels that are willing to help support that.
And just to clarify the point, the money that we received through either Senator Hills or Representative Sayed would be the same way that we got the money from the $100,000 grant, so that $15,000 or $11,000 would be just a part of the state's budget. So we would just go through the same process. So.
Yeah. So again, none of it is set in stone, but it does sound very promising. So hopefully, and I am hoping with the other electrician who is coming on Monday, that we will be able to even bring that down lower.
I know that there's some confusion over, or not confusion, but uncertainty over when exactly we're going to be receiving that $100,000 from the state. So likewise, will we not know exactly when we will receive the okay.
So it would be, we would pay it and then wait for reimbursement on it, knowing that it is coming.
So I am hoping that with this upgrade, we could potentially use it for other events.
Okay, that was going to be one of my questions is, how else could we use that electrical upgrade?
So it's basically like, it's a 220 volt, and could run, if we want to bring a food truck, or if we want to run something, I don't know what your bounce castle does.
Oh, the bounce camp, yeah.
You know, things like that.
Summer camp.
Summer camp could potentially use it.
People here that don't know what to use it for summer camp. Or, yeah, if we have any type of, Flames might be able to use it with what they do too, you know, community groups, things like that.
And would we expect to have that done before we initiated appointments for the mobile dental clinic?
No. So they will run off a generator. They just don't want to. Okay. And that was from the very beginning. There was a little bit where they were like, "Do you have electric?" I was like, "Yeah, absolutely, we have electric." Well, that got a little lost in translation. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
And I think we had talked about at the community center committee meeting potentially using the community center because we do have the 220 there, and we could, which is not, it's not ideal because of the placement.
We actually turned out we can't because of the distance from where the unit would be to where that outlet is. That outlet for us is for a steam cable, and it's like outside of the kitchen.
Okay. So there's not an option for us to use the community center area for the mobile dental at this time.
Yeah, it is not. And I did reach out to different park districts around to see if anybody else had a park that we could potentially use. So I have looked everywhere, and those, you know, those are still out there too that we could potentially do. So I'm just saying this is the most promising to keep it on Beulah Township property. But we still have some other things. So hopefully we can kind of bridge that gap.
Thank you. Just try and keep everyone updated on that. Is there any other questions?
Looking for this, I don't see any major difference between like what these two companies will actually be doing for us. So, is there any reason to not just go with the cheaper option?
We're waiting for a third.
We're still waiting on another one. And I don't see why we wouldn't, you know.
Would we check references and referrals for these just to make sure that we're comfortable with, if we go with whichever bid we think we want to go with, we will check those out?
Yeah. I know one of them we already used in the past.
Yeah, we use Greco all the time.
Okay. And this does require permitting, presumably?
Yes.
And so it'll be checked by staff as well. Okay, thank you.
Okay, no further questions. 6C is 2026 landscape maintenance contract with Sunny Landscaping, which is in your packet as well. We reached out to them about possibly helping us with some reseeding. They sent us a bid for this year, so it'll be in the board packet for the May meeting. It's a minimal increase of 5%, just so the board knows. The staff has researched using another company as well, just to make sure we're getting the best service, the best prices for everyone, and this is the best package for us that we have found. And thank you, Mariana, for all the work you did on that and the hours. So just take a look at it. I think it's a fair increase. Everybody's increasing nowadays. So that will be on the board meeting for May. So now if we could go back to number 5, discussion with Paul Virgilio, the Historical Society flooring and Town Hall staircase. Paul isn't here, obviously, but Ted, if you could take it away.
Absolutely. So on your handout, in addition, for those who already picked up your book, it'll be the 3-pager. If you didn't pick up your book, it's the attachment with the clippers, with the paperclip. We're at a position now specifically regarding the flooring over at the Historical Building, where we have a report from a structural engineer stating that the flooring is not up to code. I've spoken with the Village of Lake Zurich, and they agree with the findings of the engineer. However, they did say we do have the this all stemmed up. This all stemmed from the Historical wanting to redo the flooring. They wanted new carpet, and so before we did that, we had Virgilio and his associates look at the current status of the building. We could just do the flooring. However, then, if something happens, because we have this report indicating that it's not to code, where the township is in an extremely vulnerable position. So the next step would be to, as Paul laid out in this one-pager, we have 2 options to remediate the concerns. My hope here today is to have the board discuss between option 1 and option 2 as you see, and then I will create a bid packet. We will go out to bid from contractors who will be able to do the work, and then we can kind of see what the next steps would be going from there. Is this a $5,000 project? Is it a $500,000? Somewhere in between. As Paul laid out in his report here, the first option is likely going to be less expensive. We can't commit to that either way because we just don't know what the bids are going to come in at. So what I'm looking for is a decision from the board if we're going to do something about this, and then if yes, then which option do I need to use to create the bid?
Can I ask, and I'm not sure if this will be relevant for this part of the conversation, tell me if it's not, but Historic Society is aware of the challenges. Have they had a reaction, and has there been any kind of a discussion about commitment and spending their money and raising any needed funds so that it is not wholly on the township?
Yeah, so the Historical Society has the report. They have reviewed it. There hasn't been any conversations regarding who's paying for what yet because we don't know what the cost is.
We need approval to pick one of these so we can get an idea of what we're looking at, and then we can decide, are we going to improve, are we going to do it, are we going to pay for it, who's going to pay for it, what's the next step. But we can't do anything until we get numbers in hand, so therefore we're just asking, are we going to go with option 1 or option 2, just so we can start the process and see what's going on. Again, not committing to anything. It's just getting prices.
Thank you. And Ted, can you explain the difference between option 1 and 2, specifically what is not being done? It sounds like both are reasonable options that would bring us up to code.
All I can say about I'm not an engineer and I'm not going to pretend to be. So all I know is both of these options will fix the issue again. It's just 2 different ways to skin the cat.
Option 2 is replacing
Would be steel.
And option one, they aren't replacing it.
Option one, they're basically plain columns at the middle of each beam. And option two, they're replacing the columns.
Okay, so they're adding a column versus those three columns. They're adding columns in both. Yep, but it's the option one, the third reference is adding columns with associated footings at mid-span, which isn't part of the second. So I think that's where that kind of, they're replacing that with steel beams, and that's going to rush that third point. Is kind of how I'm interpreting it.
Right, so there wouldn't be columns in the middle of the space.
Yeah. So I'm guessing option two would aesthetically and from a usability make much more sense for that building, but from a cost perspective.
No one sees, yeah. This is not the book for us. From a cost perspective, I think it would be best for us to go for option one and see what the prices are. You know, option two is going to be more expensive. The baseline to go forward.
Yes.
Trying to temporarily support the whole first floor, all the replace those.
I'm sorry, what?
Having to temporarily support the whole first floor while we replace them, that would be very expensive. I would also say option one.
Trustee Bowman, how do you feel about this?
I think it is, Historical Society is a very important part of our history in the area, and I think we should do it properly, get the structural requirements that we need, and proceed with the project.
Are you going for option one or option two?
The one with facilities based to the outside of the structures.
So which one is it makes it to the outside?
We've known for years.
Option one. I believe option one is what you're talking about. Option one is what you're. Yeah.
We've known for years, back when Jack Rapp was on the board, that we did siding and did a lot of additional upgrades to the facility that knew eventually that the building would require structural support. I'm all for it. What we should do.
So with this, Ted will put together some bids for us to look at in the upcoming meeting. Right?
Well, no. The next step, I'm going to create the RFP.
Right, that's what I meant.
Yeah. Okay. So that we can use that. Right?
Yeah. Are you okay with what option would you? Are you okay with going with option one to find a baseline on what we'd be doing? Both of you, Trustee Bowman and Trustee Zeppler?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Trustee Glass.
Option one.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Again, not committing to anything, just getting an idea of pricing. And second?
Yes, so the second is relating to the staircase and facade work that needs to be completed at Town Hall. As you recall, at the last town meeting, we did the bid opening where we received 3 bids for this work. The high bid was $201,000. The second bid came in at $199,000, and the third bid came in at $114,000. So after the conclusion of the town meeting, I reached out to all 3 vendors, and I got a itemized expense list to try to figure out why 2 of them were in the same range, and then one was drastically less. I then took those and Bonnie helped me do some reference checks. I called the reference checks that were provided. I spoke to one of the representatives who were happy with the work of LZ Design Group, and after a brief conversation with Paul, we couldn't see anything that was missing from the low bid to indicate clearly why maybe they didn't do the brickwork and they were just doing the staircase or something like that. Subsequently, we received a letter that's included in the board book from a carpenters union making us aware of a pending case in front of the Department of Labor with LZ Design Group. So their claim was that they are not paying their employees prevailing wage, which is a requirement for the township to, when we have contractors, they have to pay their employees prevailing wage. So if they don't, then we're putting ourselves potentially liable for a situation. So that was concerning. Shortly after we posted the board book, including this letter from the Carpenters Union, I spoke with a representative from LZ Design Group. They provided me a 96-page response to this case in front of the Department of Labor. And the two letters that are also in your board packet from the Associated Builders and Contractors stating that LZ Design Group is a member of good standing in both of their programs through the end of the year. After receiving this, I contacted Ross, and our lawyer from OMFM, and we kind of discussed what potential threat the township would be in if we went with a contractor who wasn't paying their employees the prevailing wage. And so what he has stated was he will take care of that in the contract they would sign with the township. So we would do everything on our end to protect the township. So based on that, he had stated that he would be comfortable going forward with the lowest bid. That's because, as a public entity, we are required to redo public bidding, so we end with the lowest responsive bidder, right? Unfortunately, one of those three things is very relative, responsible. What I need now is for the board to decide which of those three vendors do we want to go with for this project, and then Ross and I will create the contract to get this project started.
So the low bidder came back and told us that they are and will certify all work will be prevailing wage.
Exactly.
And all the documentation to the union is there an arbitration over so many years of documentation saying that they didn't meet prevailing wages on their jobs. Or, if we submit a contract and they sign that contract that it has to be prevailing wage, they're obligated to do the certification programs. So if they're saying they are, and we have a legal contract stating that it does, not barring any arbitration of previous laws and previous contracts, this one, I don't have any problem with it.
Before the board votes to go with the lowest bidder, I just wanted to make you aware that they have a pending case in front of the Department of Labor. Now, just because it's a pending case doesn't mean they did it anyway.
I mean, if they have a pending case, of course they are going to tell us that, no, of course they pay prevailing wage, because if they say otherwise, that would be evidence in their current case against them.
So what we're saying is that we will have them sign one of our contracts that's saying they will pay prevailing wage working on our project.
I mean, if they're supposed to be obligated to do that anyways, how do we know that they fulfill this obligation?
They would have to do it. They would sign our contract saying that they are paying prevailing wage if we decide to go with them.
See, what contractors do to get around some of this procedural law is that they subcontract part of the labor on projects that they do. So it's not 100% of their staff, and they say that their staff doing certain jobs within the total scope doesn't have to be under certain guidelines. So it's a fine line that they're playing, and the unions are fighting it left in hand. I mean, there's a ton of litigation going on in the state of Illinois over prevailing wages right now. So to our lawyers' recommendations, we submit a contract that has a scope of work, and that scope of work clearly states prevailing wages. They sign it. Does it take us off the hook if something happens? The job might be delayed because of a union going back to say, hey, this is.
So we would be
you never
protecting
know.
our projects that we couldn't protect with it, and they've done in the past. Our project would be be protected by our contract. Trustee Zucker?
Just to be clear, because I think Larry, you had made a reference to certification. In the contract, not only can we have them sign that they will be doing this, we can ask them to provide
it's the law. They have to.
documentation, right?
It's the law. They have to.
Okay. So that
everything they do has to be
outside source to get what the prevailing wage is, and then they will be able to show us documentation that people who are working on the project and that they are making in fact correct amount of money. Okay.
We did that with our road resurfacing. We're required, the contractor is required to submit us a certified payroll of what they paid.
Perfect.
It's kind of like, us hiring somebody to cut the lawn here. And if we have a contractor, he's got to pay prevailing wages. If it's an employee, there's so many ways around this thing. But if our legal department said that they don't see any issues with this, and they sign this contract, I don't have any problem going with the lower bid, as long as we, get some references of projects they've done and it's good quality work.
So,
I don't have any
just
problem.
devil's advocate, do you think they bid that at prevailing wage? Or did they bid that thinking they weren't going to be paying prevailing wage? And that's why there's such a disparity between the other two bids and the question.
Yeah, so at that point, I don't have that answer.
Yeah.
But the contract would be to do this, as I stated, I asked for an itemized receipt.
Mm-hmm.
They even indicated that they're anticipating roughly a $20,000 profit. So if that gets eaten into because they didn't pay prevailing wage, that's not we're not going to raise what their bid response would be because of that.
And again, we can go back and look at the overhead of each one of these companies, how they're structured. One might be a $1 million company, another $30 million.
Can I ask? Sure. I did help Ted review the references, and the past jobs that they did were big federal jobs. Scott Air Force Base, big Air Force Base in California. So I would be comfortable being that they did work for the federal government.
And again, our attorneys would be providing a contract, making sure it's at prevailing wage and at the rate that they said they're going to be. If they couldn't, they'd come back and we'd go to option B. But I think we should start with the lowest bid. Agreed. Trustee Glass?
I don't think that we can trust these people if they're literally in litigation over skirting the law and not paying the prevailing wage. It makes me wonder what other corners they might be cutting.
Litigation, though. Please let us.
Yeah, so all I would say is, Trustee Glass, people can sue anybody for anything. It doesn't prove, just because there's an open case doesn't mean they're guilty of anything.
Especially in construction.
Yeah, so it's a very competitive field out there. I'm not saying that they're innocent, right? But I guess just because there's an open case doesn't necessarily indicate any wrong.
So what we'd like to do is have the attorneys draw a contract for the lowest bidder with saying how much they're going to make, that they're paying prevailing wage, and we would have the board review it and approve it before at an upcoming board meeting.
I personally disagree. I think that the fact that their bid is so much lower and the pending litigation is a red flag. I would not suggest that.
Noted.
Larry, do I have 3 members of the board to do this?
Yeah, I'm in favor.
Yeah. Okay.
As long as we dot the I's and cross the T's in the legal sense. And we have references.
We do.
There could be a variety of reasons that there's such a disparity that.
And there could be lawsuits on the other ones too that we can check out as well. So, again, no decisions being made, and we're just going forward to get contracts. Okay. On to 7, old business, budget discussion.
Yeah.
Turn over to Ted.
So we are now at the home stretch of our 26-27 budget that will be approved at the next board meeting. There's just a couple of items that we had discussed at previous hours, but we hadn't settled on final decisions and the specific options within some of those decisions. So the first one would be the strategic plan. So if you, in your board book, if you go to page 6 of NIU's proposal, if you recall at that board meeting, at the COW meeting, NIU was the selected vendor for this engagement. However, what we need to finalize for budgetary purposes is which option we're going to go with. Essentially, the question at hand is, do we want to include any external organizations and or public feedback during the process? The price point is, again, listed on the middle of page 6 there. The point of this is to figure out how much money we're putting into the budget.
Again, we're not making the decision to book this today, but we just want to make sure we have enough money in the budget.
Yep.
I think it's, I'm a big believer in strategic planning. We've done it in the past. I don't think there's anything wrong with budgeting it. I think we need to have a debate on how much we're going to spend or in what depth we do it. I think we need to go back and review previous plans and see how much we progressed with those plans and from those plans what happened and did we meet our goals and then make a decision in reference. But I agree we have the budget.
Yeah, they used our previous plan to do this to come up with a bid for us, so they will be working with the previous one that was done in 2019, so it's about 7 years old. So, go ahead, Trustee.
I guess my question is, have we, in your experience or what you've seen in the records, has townships ever gone out and gotten external community input focus groups or community opinion survey?
So the last one, as Supervisor Goldway stated, was back in 2019, so that predates me. I do not believe that they were incorporated. When that one was completed, I wouldn't believe so. My experience with strategic plans, I did it twice when I was in Griswold, and we did one with, one without. And it's really just a point personal preference in terms of, too many voices can be overwhelming, but on the other hand, getting outside input can be helpful too. So it's a balancing act. It's really just what this board prefers, in my opinion.
So having been through two already, and where we did not get public input from, I really believe at a minimum the survey of what this community is looking for from their township could be very impactful and important community, especially when we are just like in, I feel like a huge time of transition. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, and I would mirror your comment in that it's very useful. I mean, these are the folks that we're serving. Not having their input as we think about what our strategy is seems that there's a gap, right? Like, we think we might know, but getting it definitively, I think, would be.
So would everyone feel comfortable with adding the $3,600? Again, we're not signing any contract today, but for budgeting purposes, adding in the $3,600 for a community opinion survey?
Yep.
Again, not voting, but just...
I agree. But there was in the past 20 years, I think we've done 2 surveys of the community of what they're interested in. And those should be on record somewhere.
The last one was 7 years ago, so it's probably different.
There's been surveys.
Okay.
They were very useful.
Yeah, a lot of people have moved.
And hence we have a park, an additional park, and enhancements to it because of a lot of the comments. And that was what I recall.
Okay.
My memory's not the best. I remember the parks. Tell that. Parks being an important part of it.
But I appreciate that. And again, it's just for budgeting purposes. We'll talk about it a little bit later.
So the next item on the agenda here is the flooring at Town Hall. Our carpet is original to the construction of the building. And so we had, the last 2 years at least, we had budgeted $20,000 to redo the flooring at Town Hall. That number was just a placeholder in case we wanted to pursue the project. It had been put off. And so we now have 3 estimates, and all 3 of these estimates came from recommendations. I know, Bonnie, you gave us a name or 2. Mike also gave us a name. And so, again, it's for budgetary purposes.
So this is for budget purposes, and then we're going to review the process.
Yep.
And just so I'm clear, and Ted, I'm sure this was maybe an oversight, but if you look at the 3 estimates that you have, that first one, the 27 is not actually the total. That's really just the total for the first part, because it looks like the basin area is included in bids 2 and 3. So if you add those 2 figures together, they're all very close. That first one comes out then at 33.3.
Yeah. So we had, when we approached these vendors, the basement was always going to be an optional expense. We weren't sure, because we didn't know how much it was going to cost.
Okay.
So we had presented it to them as, get us the cost of the flooring, and then as an option, let's look at the basement. So that's why it's broken down differently. I don't, to be honest with you, I think the other 2 messed up. The first one was what we asked.
This is the way we, okay.
Yeah.
Again, this is budgetary.
Yes.
Yep.
We don't have to spend it, and we can review in depth of what.
We're just confirming that redoing the flooring in Town Hall is still a priority that we're going to budget for. Yeah.
Another thing to point out, option 2, we would have to move the furniture, get a dumpster, and then the prep work would be $200 an hour on top of what they budgeted.
Yeah, so we have to take.
Yeah, again, this is just for budgeting, not
Just confirming that we're still moving forward with the project. Yep.
For the budget, then do we want to?
It's in there. It's in there. We just want to make sure it's correct, because we'll be voting on the budget at the May board meeting. So Ted will be doing some changes. He just wants to make sure that it's as accurate as possible.
Thank you for saying it.
Go ahead, Ted.
Okay, so IT providers, we are currently unhappy with our current IT vendor. At the last town meeting, we had a discussion and picked a potential new vendor. Since then, today, Trustee Zegler gave me a great list of questions to inquire. No, it was really helpful, so I appreciate it.
Should have done sooner.
So again, I just need to know, are we okay budgeting for a new IT provider for next year?
Some of the downfalls, just to give you an experience, they've come in, we've had multiple people come in here, we haven't had a consistent help. This one guy came in one time and threw away a bunch of materials that we were supposed to return to Access One when we switched over the phone. So it's just sloppiness. I know the assessor's department's had problems. It seems everyone's had concerns. When we were switching over to the phones, there was a lot of challenges with the phones that could have, when we got the right person, it was done right, but it took us a lot. So their monthly cost looks low, but what they actually charge us is really close to what our new place would be.
And one key difference between our current provider gives us 10 hours of service a month,
which is not
and then we're charged overtime beyond that 10 hours. For the new potential provider, it's unlimited. So
it's not overtime we're charged, but we're charged
time and a half.
They charge time and a half regardless of when we use those 10 hours?
Well, no, from hour 11 and beyond, or 10 and a quarter, I guess, and beyond. They charge.
So if we use 12 hours.
They 2 hours are charged overtime.
And it doesn't matter if we do it during business hours. So
no. Yeah, but 10 hours allocated to us a month.
So I did that little sheet that I emailed out. So on paper, it looks like we're paying $12,000 a year for this IT company, but what we actually paid was $38,000 with $12 overtime that they charge us.
So again, this is budgetary.
Again, we're not voting on it.
We're going to have
more
multiple discussions on
but it's
who
just, this is,
what.
Out of the 3 that we've had, this looks like the best fit. So we want to put this in the budget. We'll talk about it. Nothing's going to be signed, sealed, or delivered until it's more discussion. Okay?
Yep. Yeah.
So that's been working on. Thank you for your work on that. And last one.
Website. As per our last town meeting, we had discussed state mandated changes to requirements for public entities in terms of our documents being ADA compliant. Since that meeting, the state has extended the time in which we need to be compliant by a year. So previously we had to be compliant by April 1st, 2027. We now have until April 1st, 2028. That being said, those requirements are still coming. And the way that we currently run our, maintain our webpage would not be compliant. So, as we discussed last month, the kind of the leader in website, municipal websites is Civic Plus, who we selected and have the vote from. So, because we have the extended year, the question is, do we want to wait until next fiscal year to do this? And then, I'm sorry, yes. That also was in the additional handout that I gave you. The updated quote would be the last 2 pages.
So they brought it down quite considerably. We were originally talking between $40,000 and $48,000, and now it's $28,000.
Yes, and so what they, one point of clarification that I made a mistake at the last meeting, stating that we would need 2 software editions, the Audio Eye and the Aquita, however that's pronounced. We actually only need the Audio Eye. They were providing us 2 options. Either one of them on their own would suffice. Audio Eye is cheaper, and even at Civic Plus has stated that it's a better product for us. As Supervisor stated, they did bring their prices down considerably, and that includes the first year of the Audio Eye for free. They waived
and hosting as well. It's included in that price.
Correct.
So that was a big concern for me, and so they changed that. So to be safe, instead of this larger number, what would you think, like $35,000 to budget?
I mean, to be honest, we could probably budget it closer to 30 because they're both.
I would.
Either way.
And again, nothing's going to be voted done without board approval. But I think overshooting it at $35,000 in case we run into something and be smarter and then using less is fine.
Big increase.
Pardon me?
I said it's a big increase.
Well, it's a new website.
Again, yeah. A lot of that is the year 1 transition, but also additionally, it's the fact that our current website does not have the capabilities of maintaining the law that's coming down the pipeline. As I stated last Cal, this was discussed at a township administrators meeting, and it was like split. Some townships are stripping the website of everything and making it bare bones to be compliant, and the others are beefing theirs up, going a similar route. So the first question that was asked was, which way do we want to go with this? It was decided that we want to make sure that our website is available, compliant, and that people can find us. So we went with the beefing up option, and this would get us to where we need to be compliant.
Our current year is, last year we spent $21,600 on the website. So by doing the new website at about $30,000 isn't a huge jump.
Looking here, the annual recurring services numbers, this 13,000, this could be what we
for the following year.
Okay. And I mean, I'm not sure. There's part of me that struggles a little bit with we've added a number of projects that are going to add cost, and I know when we initially requested the budget, that amount is staying the same. So anything that we're doing is kind of really coming out of reserves or drawing down. Balances which makes me kind of a little concerned about spending this in this budget year, but at the same time, if we don't do it this year, we have to do it next year, and then we're at the mercy of whatever cost implications there are. So it could be significantly higher. Yes.
And we've also made some structural changes that reduce budgets in other line items that Supervisor Willow had laid out in that spreadsheet.
And cost savings, things that we cut back on. And as the community center is doing, we're doing less mailings and referring more people to the website. So postage and printing is going to be less. So that's about $12,000 just in maintaining items as well from the cost.
And having a better website then will help with that.
Yeah.
For sure, because our current one is very difficult.
And Jessica is heading up a team of just asking everyone when you're getting your calls for, so that we know what people are calling for, so we can address those things with the new website. So she's keeping a list on that. So we're working proactively. So is everybody okay if we put in, again, not deciding anything, but just budget up to $35,000 for a new website? Any discussion, any further discussion you want to have? Trustee Glass, okay with it?
Yeah. I mean, this is lower than what you said we were paying last year just to fall the overtime fees. So.
Oh, no, that's the IT. This is the website.
Oh, wait.
It's a little bit more. It's a little bit more.
But going next year, it'll be significantly less.
Correct.
It's more expensive than we currently pay.
Yeah.
But we don't pay $13,000.
I thought we did.
No.
All right.
Just to go.
You're okay to put this in the budget?
Yeah.
Are you okay, Trustee Bowman?
Okay. And it's going to go way up next year, and people all need to do it at the same time.
And just the stress and everything else going on, just rather get it done earlier.
Good point.
It's not only the community.
Thank you, everyone, for your discussion on that. Let's try to wrap this up to keep everyone's time in hand here. Number 8, department heads. We'll start with Administrator Marciniak.
I have nothing outside of what was already discussed.
Cemetery and transportation.
Transportation is going really well, and cemetery, I have to thank Mike and the Highway Department for helping clear out the area for our new ossuary. Jeff Thompson met with Professional Cemetery Services. They marked out the area. Mike and the guys had to remove a couple of fence panels, remove the bush, and maybe our bench temporarily relocate. So as soon as it comes in, we're going to install. And that's it.
Thank you. Transportation, anything? Oh, there's buses. Okay. Community center?
Things are going well. Gas company was there today. We have been officially hooked up. Unlike what they promised, they did have to shut off our gas. Thankfully, our new chef, Nicole, who started last Tuesday, was already done prepping everything, so it didn't interfere with that. And right now, we're all good. I also did talk to Jim from Fairwell Hamilton. He was asking me about some of the different challenges we face. And when I told him about the solenoid that had to be replaced and all the wiring to it, he could...
The what?
The solenoid on the oven and stove, remember on St. Patrick's Day when that all decided to work for me? That could actually have been caused by the surges of gas coming into it. So he needs some checks into that. Because that was...
I hope his fee to do that is much more than what we paid.
Because that was over $2,000.
Yeah, I know.
A new piece of equipment would have been over $17,000. And then lastly, I just want to say thank you for your diligent work on this whole dental clinic, because we have so many people that will be served by it. So truly appreciate it. Well done. And I am just myself because
Okay. Oh, that's great. Thank you.
My biggest thing is the dental. I do want to say thank you to the Highway Department. They are changing our ceiling tiles, and you can tell that the air quality is already better. One of my staff members has already made comments that it's good. So thank you for that. It's the transition. It's taken a lot longer, I think, than anybody thought. So tedious work. So that's happening. Other than that, we're going to plan an event called Salute the Tooth on June 4th. We are hoping to have outside, but we'll keep, the inside area, where we're going to introduce the dental clinic, but also have resources for veterans. So we are now getting people to come out to talk to our veterans to make sure that they are getting all of the benefits and, discounts and stuff that they need. So that's still in the processing, but we have identified June 4th. And that is the week that school ends and right before camp starts. So we're hoping to get some kids. So that's it. Thank you.
I'm only going to touch on a couple important things here. We received the bid tabulations from Lake County DOT for our road salt for 26-27. Pardon me. Only 2 companies submitted bids this year, with Compass Minerals coming in as the lowest bidder at $97.12 a ton. Morton Salt, who won the bid last year, was $98.72 a ton. At $97.12 a ton, that's a 14% increase over last year.
Well, that's 2 years, actually.
The year before was 5%.
So 14 in 1 year.
14 in 1 year.
So do we have those back?
At 80%, if we take 80%, that would be 650 tons, comes out to $63,128.
Deep breath.
Just pray for warm weather.
We already we submit our acceptance letter stating that we would purchase a minimum 80%. Our newest employee, Tim Seiler, he was hired and started April 22nd, and he stated he's very happy to be here, and we're very happy to have him. On a sour note, we had to terminate one of our seasonal employees today. Without getting into much detail, let's just say he violated the township's policy regarding professional conduct and conduct unbecoming a public employee. So we are in the process of looking for another season. That's all.
If you have any questions, we can take it offline.
And also just a quick note with that, Mariana and Kathy and I have been working on having a standard operating procedure for hiring and letting people go, whether it be voluntary or involuntary. There's been things in place, but we're ironing it out, so everybody does the exact same thing. Pekka says, and Mariana and Kathy have done a great job on it. So you know, it's not just duty. Thank you. Thank you for
Michael is our first one then.
I know. Good thing we just reviewed this week.
Yeah. Good job, Mike.
It's been a very eventful day.
All right. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay. Elected officials, Trustee Bowman. Trustee Glass.
Yeah. So I have received some emails from residents concerned about monarch butterflies in our area. So I've been doing some outreach. There is this pledge, the monarch pledge, that our township could do that basically is a commitment for us to do a couple of different actions to improve our environment for different butterflies. And I'm not sure if that specifically would be something that the township board would be interested in doing, but even if not, I think there are some action items on that list that would be nice. And so I've been reaching out to a couple of different local conservation groups to see who might be interested in either 2 things. First, a presentation on how to use native plants in home gardens, which I think people would appreciate. And second would be a potential day of action where some volunteers in the community can plant some native species. My original idea was maybe in one of the parks, but Supervisor Wilwood recommended using the local garden we have outside this building, which would be effective. And so I reached out to 3 different organizations. I've gotten a call back from one of them, and the call just said that they would have to get back to me later. So we'll see.
Thank you. Trustee Sedgwick?
Only that I'm thrilled that we have a new chef and that Susan's so happy to have that off of her plate. So welcome to Nicole Moore. I appreciate the staff's effort and residents' patience with all the efforts and activities that are going around with the new database. I know it's been a bit of a chore. And I was going to ask her about the generator, so happy to hear that that's gone about. And for anyone that's interested, we just had a community meeting community center meeting, community center meeting on the 15th, and we'll have the next one on June 17th at 9 a.m.
And also, if I could just piggyback on what you said, now that we have a full-time chef too, we're able to increase, again, budget lines. The revenues that we're bringing in for lunches and the meals we're bringing has gone up now that we have someone to support that. So, thank you. Okay.
One more thing, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The UKG is wonderful.
They have the time card.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
sure.
I really
we did our first payroll with the new system, and it went flawlessly. I think it's funny.
Good.
I didn't get your name, but
It was good. It was good. I knew I did something wrong though because I got a call from our but she walked me through it. She was like, well, "What did you press? Then what did you press? Then what did you press?" We figured it out.
So that's glad it's done. And then, could you get sent Doug's report, Trustee Sam's report,
yes.
please?
Trustee Sams attended an audit planning session with Kathy and I, and the result of that meeting was we have now a schedule for our audit with a new firm. We just sent out a letter today to the old firm asking for some paperwork that the new firm can use. So we're starting the ball. And then finally, he met with Kathy and I again to review our cash receipts and cash disbursements procedure narratives and all the related additional internal control suggestions. And we have a payroll narrative that we are working together with as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have just a couple things. We did have a representative from the Lake County Clerk's Office. The unfortunately named Charlie Kirk came out on Friday. No, it's been a rough year for Charlie. He came out on Friday to check out our lower level boardroom and see if it would be suitable for early voting in the fall. And he has agreed that it is a go, and we just have to sign the contract and send it back. So we will be hosting early voting in this room in the fall. I believe it's from October 19th to Halloween. Halloween will be our last day in here.
Yes.
Yeah. So that means this space is not going to be available for any programming. Our CAL meeting will have to move. There will be a couple of things that need to happen just to keep this space secure for voting for that 2-week period.
With deliveries on the 15th of October, if anybody wants to write that.
The 15th of October for deliveries?
Yes.
That's deliveries of all the equipment?
Yes.
There is one more hoop we have to jump through. They are sending an ADA representative from the state to just double check it, make sure everything looks good. That has not been set up yet, but it will be coming soon. Also, I kind of want some feedback from the board. I mentioned it to Doug and I think Lori at the annual town meeting. In reviewing the exec session meetings minutes from like the 1980s, there are a lot of them that deal with proposed real estate acquisitions that never went through or that did go through, but they are from like the 80s and the 90s. I just kind of want to get feedback from the board. We would be within our purview to keep those private forever and ever if we would like, or we can release them in the interest of transparency. I just want feedback from you guys. What do you think? What are your thoughts on that?
You have the most experience, isn't it, Trustee Bowman?
Pardon me?
You have the most experience to tell us what you think.
I agree.
To let them go, to have it be open. Yeah. I mean, there's no. I'm not a voter. Yeah. I just want to make sure. Just want to talk about it.
Yeah. Either way, I do have one question. Are we in compliance with the letters of economic interest on everybody? They're all in?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they are. Yes. We are. The executive session minutes, I'm not going to bring that up again until we have to do our semi-annual review. I'll add some new ones into that. When I pushed them out to the attorney last time, I said, can you please go through these? And anything that absolutely has to be reviewed, should not have ever been an exec session, let's get that released. And that's what he did. So everything that was released was just things that never should have been exec session anyway. there is a bunch of real estate there. I'm thinking, I mean, just some guidelines from up to the 2010s to 2000s, but real estate stuff, if we never, I understand HR stuff, of course, but real estate possible acquisitions, I just don't see any need to continue keeping those closed here.
I would agree.
But yeah, I don't have any issue with it. Okay, that's fine. So going forward, I will go through them and kind of flag them as for potential release, if they're just real estate related. Okay, well, thank you. That was all I had.
Assessment Barrington. All of our new construction is in for 2026. We have I reviewed all of the sales ratios for this year and calculated equalization factors for our entire township. By doing that, I was able to reduce our county equalization factor by between 3 and 4%. Obviously, my calculation is in the county's calculation, so it looks like that 6.52% will come down about between 3 and 4%. So that's good news for everybody in the county or in the township. Now that we have done that, we're going to post those equalized values, and then we can start doing our home improvement exemptions. And we're on track to close our books way earlier this year, maybe in June or July. Last year it was done in October. Last year it was not done until August. Anything else? Jackie's good? Yes. Our new field guy is working out wonderfully. He's out every day working. He's getting so much work done. Just the teamwork that's happening in my office. Yesterday I had a resident from Whinstone that asked to come see me, which I was kind of like, oh my gosh, already complaining. But he came in to tell me how great my staff always is, and they always have a smile on their face, and they're always happy to help. And he congratulated me on having such a good team. So great. Thank you. Okay, my report not to be too long, but next month is going to be 1 year since we've all taken office. So it's kind of crazy that we've been in for a year with some of us. With that, I just want to comment on the importance of preparation and participation in township government. I appreciate everybody coming here and reviewing and being ready for this. The committee of the whole meetings exist for a reason. That's where trustees can review upcoming agenda items, because we take the agendas and make the board meetings, ask detailed questions, discuss concerns, give staff direction before matters come to the board for a vote. This process helps meetings run efficiently and allows the public to better understand the issues before final decisions are made. So I appreciate the banter and the conversation that we have and experience and new ideas. When we miss these meetings, it raises numerous questions for the first time during a voting meeting. It creates avoidable delays, confusion, and frustration for residents who expect an organized and informed governance. Every trustee has the right to ask questions and vote independently. That responsibility also includes showing up, doing homework, and participating in the meetings designed for discussion. If you are unable as a trustee to attend a committee of the whole meeting, I respectfully request that any substantive questions or concerns be submitted by email at least 24 hours in advance of the meeting. Same for a board meeting. That would allow staff and board members time to prepare accurate responses, create more meaningful dialogue, and ensure those questions and responses are reflected in the meeting record and minutes for review for a final vote. I also respectfully ask all elected officials to commit to attending preparatory meetings whenever possible, and attendance when not possible, to communicate your concerns in advance. Residents deserve thoughtful, efficient, and accountable leadership. This will be posted on our transparency tab of the website and shared with the public along with our attendance records for the past year of all elected officials for all meetings. And I appreciate all of your participation, so thank you. We did have our cemetery board meeting. Next point is we still have 2 positions open. The applications are available online. We're looking for volunteers on Saturday the 23rd to put out flags, and then on the 30th to remove the flags. It's on our website and social media. I don't have any updates from Lake County or CLC Jawa about Diamond Bank Road. They were supposed to get back to us last week. We haven't heard anything. This past month was also lobby days in Springfield for TOI as well as MTA. Ted and I decided not to go with them just because there's so much influx with the elections coming up. We're not sure who's going to be in office in the next few times, so we decided to concentrate our time and efforts here and not spend the money just to go down for a reception and a couple meetings. So we'll be looking at that next year. I wanted to thank everyone who participated, all the departments with Expo this year. Met a lot of great people. We were back-to-back with Lake Zurich. And that's where I got to speak with Senator Hill about the truck and John. And I also spoke with the Lions Club presidents. It was just a really good connection. Even if we reached 3 people, which I think we reached more, it's just a great outreach to let people know what we do. Susan isn't here, but Jim Delbeck really went out of his way to help a resident who was having huge concerns, drove her personally to place, and he just went over and above. So I just wanted to publicly thank him. I attended the historical meeting this month. They did have a new website, and then I gave them the information to secure additional insurance for History Day, because I told them we weren't going to pay for it this year like we have in the past. So they have the contact, and they're working on that. I also sent an email to the Lions Club president, and I'm going to the business after hours tomorrow night to remind them that I'd like to be covered on their insurance for Alpine Days because they use part of our property too, and I just want to make sure we're listed as part of the coverage so that if anything happens, we're covered. So always make sure. Upcoming events, just wanted to say thank you for anybody who made a donation to our bin upstairs for a safe place. It was organized by the Lake County Clerk's Office. Thank you if you helped. CERT Pancake Breakfast is this Sunday on May 3rd from 8 to 1 at the Lake CERT Fire Station right next to our community center. May 21st is the blood drive. We have the flags at the cemeteries on the 23rd and 30th. And then our shred event at the library is Sunday, June 14th. So that is my report.
Can I add something real quick? You reminded me something. With the CLC Jawa, there was actually 2 fires in Eula Township this past week, one in Kildeer and one in Forest Lake. The one in Kildeer, there were 27 fire departments that responded. It was a total loss. It was in the garage, big open space above the garage. But the reason that it was so bad is because there are no hydrants in that area. Same thing for the one in Forest Lake. That was particularly even worse because the streets are so narrow there. That house is also uninhabitable now, not being able to be lived in. But when we got reports of the fire, it actually, the fire chief from Countryside called me and said, has there been any word on that? Because they were one of the responding fire departments. And we use their, by very non-technical terms, their fire bath, which is a big tub that they put in front of their fire trucks that they can fill with water and pull from there too. But we used their pumper trucks and that, and he said it was essentially like an old days water relay for that fire. And it might be something, again, just to keep on front of their minds, literally, that 2 in 1 week with no hydrants. And those low hydrants.
Maybe we could post those on their Lake County scanner or some news organization.
Yeah, I mean, the one in Kildare with 27 departments responding, and it was still a total loss because of no water.
Because you have to put water in your tankers over and over again.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else anyone see a need to go in executive session tonight? Okay. Next town meeting is May 27th at 4 p.m. I'd like to motion to adjourn.
Motion?
Second.